Now that you've put this out in the universe, I feel your first reward may be just right here on its way.
Well, I see my reward right in front of my eyes. Sir Boman Irani, a man who I don't think my introduction would do justice. His character believes that life is a race, but he has been running a marathon himself in the Indian film industry as an actor, director, and screenplayer, giving us gems which have created a major impact in not just my childhood, but whole of India's. Although I don't know about AG here because she's still in her pre-teens. Last night, in my dream, I was told by a guiding light that once you see an extraordinary speaker, you must hand him over this podium and this pen. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what I'm going to just do. Please welcome the exquisite, the celebrated Boman Irani.
Boman Irani.
Hi, everyone. When I go home every night after work, my wife gives me a warmer welcome after 40 years. ये क्या है? Hello, everyone. I was lying about my wife. She only says how much money you brought home today. That's it. So everyone, can you hear me nice and loud? Nice and clear? Right. So thank you very much, Arnav and Amrita. Please give them a big hand for doing a whole lot of emceeing and introducing me. I forgot to mention my name, but I just want to let you know. Did they mention my name? I don't think so. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. My name was up there. That's why. No, it's gone. Now even that's gone. They did. See, the thing is, everybody in this room need not know who I am, what my name is, and what I do, right? Does everybody here know who I am and what I do? No, no, sir. Do you know who I am, what I do? Yeah. You do? The fourth idiot. It's an in-joke. Don't misunderstand. I'll explain later. I'll put subtitles for you, especially for you, sir. I'm pulling, please. An idiot in this country, when we call you an idiot, it's a compliment. Just someone help me. It's a compliment. So here I am, just to make sure that everybody knows who I am and what I do, because I can't assume that you all know who I am and what I do. I was on a plane once, and early in the morning, 6 o'clock flight, and people are walking, and I can hear from the aerobridge a very rude, loud guy talking on the top of his voice on the phone. You know the type, right? Nobody's acknowledging because you've probably done it yourself. And he's talking loudly, and he walks into the plane, and he spots me over there and says, hey, mera favorite actor. Mera dunya ka sabse favorite actor, yaar, mera sabse favorite. And he went on, and I'm getting a little embarrassed. I'm also a little chuffed. It feels nice. Because I was dunya ka sabse favorite actor. Means the most favorite actor in the world, sir. Especially for you subtitle. And then suddenly he became speechless. And he started breathing heavily. He didn't know what to say. So he comes all the way up to me. He bends down all the way into my ear, but spoke so loudly for the whole plane to hear and said, "Lekin bhai sahab, aapka naam kya hai? Wo batao na pehla." What's your name? And after that day, I never assume that everybody should know who I am. Even the most, मैं दुनिया का सबसे favorite actor बन के नाम नहीं याद है, तो मैं बोला सबको बता दूं. Ladies and gentlemen, hi. My name is Boman Irani. I'm an actor. Yeah? It's on, it's on. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. So here I am. Henna, darling. Tin mic niche. So here I am. I'm supposed to speak to you. I've been allotted a very short window to make my speech, or whatever you'd like to call it, of 2.5 hours. And I have 25 minutes, yeah. And I'm going to try and use it as well as possible. Tell you a little bit about me and a little bit of us, the story of us in many ways. And to tell you that I came into this world pretty late, 1959. But late meaning I was born after the death of my father. My father passed away in the May of 1959, and I was born in the December of 1959, which means that I was born posthumously. And I came into this world surrounded by women, and mother, 3 sisters, and some 75 aunts, who all felt sorry for me for some reason. And everyone would look at me and feel sorry for me and call me, this is my name, Bechara Boman. Poor Boman, the poor fella. And I just never spoke. I never spoke since I had a speech defect, and I used to speak with a squeak and a stutter and a stammer and my lips sticking out like virus. I used to speak like that. Then I went to school. I never answered the principal. He did not give me admission because I did not answer a single question, because the answers all had an S in it. And I would have spoken like a squeaky virus. Virus meaning a character that I played who spoke with his tongue sticking out. So I didn't answer. He didn't give me admission. But 10 days later, he calls up my mother and he says, Mrs. Irani, we are educationists. And there are a hell of a lot of educationists in this room. And he said, which child doesn't know what a horse is? Which child doesn't know what a mouse is? What are we talking about? Your child just lacks confidence. Send him to St. Mary's School. And he gave me admission. And I think it's so important to understand that you don't have to pick up just the best. You've got to pick up the ones you're going to make someone out of. The end product is more important in many ways. And I got a little bit of confidence, but I had a lot of learning disabilities. Dyslexia, dyscalculia. I still suffer from dyscalculia. Numbers I don't understand. I really don't. I mean, I have many instances where numbers have failed me. They just go through my head like a sieve. I go to the wrong room sometimes in the hotel. Just knock on the wrong door. Yeah. Everybody doesn't believe me. You don't believe me? It really happens. Sometimes I go on purpose, but we can't talk about it. Behave yourself there. What is that, sir? But that's a fact. And thanks to that, I was Bichara Boman plus. So this dyscalculia and my other learning disabilities, there was the scientific term back in the 60s for it. Does anybody remember the scientific term for dyslexia and dyscalculia? Do you remember the term? It's changed, of course, now. Back in the day, the scientific term was duffer. And I'll tell you, they said it to me very subtly, especially the neighbor's mom. Aapka bacha duffer kyun hai? As subtle as that. And it used to, and look at mom, am I really a duffer? Mom said, no, beta, you're more than that. She meant in a good way. And I never smile. You look at all my kiddie photographs, always scowling, always frowning. And I never spoke. Because I was afraid I'll make some gaffe and people will say, there goes the duffer again. And we've got to be very careful when dealing with kids. Not just kids who have dyslexia, dyscalculia, and let's not use confidence only reserved, or lack of confidence reserved only for the ones with learning disabilities. All kids. And I tell you, it should be frightening. I'll need to use this mic now. I was on stage in the choir. So we're standing like this on those little bleachers that they make for the stage. And I was singing in the choir, and we sing like this, with a big red bow and rouge and lipstick. Yeah, and I'm singing away with my other school classmates, and my mom is sitting somewhere there. No, ma'am, I didn't mean you. I'm just pointing. Saying, who? You're not. You're too young to be my mom. And she's smiling away. She's talking on the phone now. She tweet it. Boman Irani thinks I'm his mom. I'm standing on stage and my friends and we are singing away and my mom's sitting over there. Again she fell with. She was smiling away. And after the annual day function, I asked her, Mom, why were you smiling all through the evening? And you won't believe what she said. I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. And she said these very words. She said, son, because for the first time in your whole life, you were smiling. Think about it. Think about the anxiety that parents go through because their kids have anxiety issues. Can you imagine? And I'll tell you, can you imagine my mom saying, you were smiling, so I was happy, beta. Oh, cannot. But she figured out something big time, which I think this is what this conference is all about. Big time. She figured out something. And what was that? Anybody? She figured out my nursery. She figured out that I'm happiest on stage. She saw that because I feel like a tiger because you see people less, it's darker. You feel that you own this place. You like the lights in your eyes because it blinds you a little bit. You like the sound because your voice is louder than normal. And believe me, when it becomes a habit, you love an audience. So you want to keep coming back to this place. But that was a very young mother, a widow with 4 little kids, 3 and 1 on the way. To have acknowledged that and realized that I'm not going to whack my son on the bum because he gets only 6 marks in arithmetic. Because no matter how much he would whack me on the bum, I was going to manage not more than 4 after the whacks. It's not going to go up because it's a learning disability. I never understood mathematics. Never. So she encouraged me to go on stage and she encouraged me to go to the movies. She used to send me to the movies every single day. We had a cinema hall across my home, the Alexander Cinema, and she would say, go watch what's running today. I would say, Ben-Hur, go watch it again. What's running Piazza? Go watch it again, don't worry. I said, why again? Go and understand different aspects of cinema. That was my education, sitting in a dark room, sometimes in empty theater, the old Alexander Cinema, and go and watch movies, understanding drama, history sometimes, art, cultures, travel the world all through the dark room of a cinema hall. Think about my mother's wisdom. And this is what happened one day. I was 11 years old and I used to watch all the movies many, many times. There was no YouTube, of course, right? So I'm sitting at the wafer shop where my mother was a shopkeeper. My mother was a shopkeeper. We had a wafer shop. We used to fry wafers in a big bhatti, in a big tawa over here. And she ran that shop. And one of my father's friends, Farooq uncle, we used to come every alternate day, sit with my mom and ask, how things are, how are the kids, whatnot. How's the little nervous kid doing, right? And he asked, what's running at the Novelty Cinema? Now, the Novelty Cinema screen wall was the side wall of our bhatti wall of our wafer shop. Okay? And when he asked the question, I squeaked out, El Cid, with my tongue out, of course. El Cid. So he looked at me, El Cid, you watched the film? I said, yeah. I said, 11 times. Really? Mom tells Farooq uncle, a very old man, would you like to see the film? Saying, what do you know about El Cid? I said, I know everything there is to know about El Cid. It stars Charlton Heston, Sophia Loren, Herbert Lom, directed by Anthony Mann. He's saying, how do you know all these things? Because my brain would work in certain areas that gave me power. And did not work in certain areas that made me feel powerless, helpless, and duffer-like. And she said, okay. And mom tells Farooq uncle, you want to watch the movie? He said, I would love to. Saying, Boman will take you. I took an 80-year-old man by the hand to the Novelty Cinema. I sat him over there. I sat next to him, and I reached out to his ear, and I gave a running commentary as the movie was playing to the old man. This is happening, this is happening. And now El Cid has been shot by an arrow. They break the arrow, but he's dead now. But they put him on a horse, and they tie him, and they strap him to the horse. Why? Because if the troops know, I'm saying this, rattling away, if the troops know that El Cid is dead, then they will not march against the enemy. So this was his final act of courage, of leadership. They whack the horse on the backside, and the horse rides through his army, and they all follow him, and they defeat and vanquish the enemy. I didn't use those big words, of course. That was Shashi Tharoor. Right? And why am I telling you this story, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what? It was my mother's greatest act of empowering me. I'm telling you this story simply because Farooq uncle, who I took to the movies, was blind. Think about it. Think about the power and responsibility that was given to me for a little kid to tell a blind man what he saw on screen, a screen. Think how important that is. Think how important that is, that I felt from that day on, whatever happens and whatever I do and however long my journey it will be, someday I will be a storyteller. Someday I'm going to achieve what I always felt powerful doing. I think that's the point of this entire conference, maybe, or maybe I'm misunderstanding what you all are up to here. And I'm just, I think that's what it is. And I grew up, and I started my, how many minutes left? 2 hours only. I grew up, I started off as a waiter. I went to my granny, and I asked her, I want to be a waiter. She said, sure. You want to be a waiter? I said, yeah. I said, but be the best goddamn waiter in the world, but don't even try, okay? My granny, and this is important for me to tell you all, my granny came from Iran as a refugee. And you'll be surprised to hear what I'm going to tell you next. She and my grandfather rode across the desert from a little town in Nasrabad, and came to Khorramshahr on a donkey. On a donkey. This is where I come from. This is not a story out of the Bible. These are my grandparents who have met. And they catch a sailboat and come to Bombay. A little sailboat with a little 1-year-old in their arms who was dying. And why am I saying this? The kids that you all are mentoring, including you, in every field there are stars and superstars. You don't have only stars and superstars in the film business, in the music business. In every field you have stars and superstars. And fame is not the answer. But there is a ladder of success. And it's very important to know this, that we kind of forget where we came from. And I think that has kept me rooted. Every single time I walk into a hotel and 5 people come to welcome me and say, how was the flight? Yeah, it was a flight, first of all. It was business class, second of all. And how's your room? It's a suite, thank you very much. We spend too much time grumbling. And I think that is something that I needed to say. I needed to say because we find ourselves always caught up in this new modern era where we are only receiving. And we've got to be very careful to teach our children that. Because our children in this generation, nobody says no to them. Ma'am, don't leave me halfway like that. I feel so bad. If you don't have to bend down, it doesn't make matters. You're going like this. Doesn't make it easier. Tell me the truth, where were you all going? If you're going to the washroom, you're still not forgiven. Anyway, let's continue. We must have fun. This is the thing. It's another thing about telling our kids is that there's a monkey inside of all of us. We suppress the monkey. I mean, I like to be naughty even today. I mean, I will always want to be the child. I'll never kill the child inside of me. And they're still laughing. 2 minutes ago, shamelessly you all were walking away. And now suddenly you find it bloody funny. Go. I dare you, go. We have fun. The main thing is you must have fun. You mean it's fine if you want to walk out on my speech. Why were you going here? You will sit, we'll go to the green room, have coffee together, then you can go. Will you all behave yourselves? I've got only 2 hours left. Yeah. What you saying? What are you saying, ma'am? Okay, you'll be paying for the coffee though. Anyway. Okay, let's go back. Yeah. So I want to come to something that we learn along the way. We learn along the way. I went for my first job to the Taj Mahal Hotel to be a waiter. And I go there, and there's a Parsi gentleman called Sam Bhada, right? And he's doing my interview. I wear a bow tie, and I stand in front of him. I practiced the whole night, lowering my voice and, speaking with this mild British accent. And he asks me this very important question. So which department do you want to join? Food and beverage. Idiot. Drop the accent. And drop that fake voice. And I say, food and beverage. What's he basically saying? Be yourself. I think we should teach our kids to be themselves. Don't try and impress people. Be yourself, whatever you are. It doesn't matter. These 2 girls were being themselves. They said, forget it, yaar, Boman Irani, uska baap aave, mere ko kya farak padta hai. Be yourself, baby. And the moment you will be yourself, I tell you, your body starts relaxing. You're comfortable, as they say, in your own skin, and your body starts relaxing. Look, I mean, I just enjoy myself on stage. Whatever happens, have a good time. That's what it is, to enjoy yourself. If I'm going to come here to bhashan marao you, there'll be more than 2 people who want to walk out. But if I'm here to have a good time myself, and that's what you got to teach our kids at work, whenever they go, whatever you may become. You got to have a ball, first of all, choosing what you do that you enjoy for the rest of your life and let them pay. Oh, this one I'm not being paid for, of course. But nobody laughed. Nobody laughed, man. Enjoy yourself, be yourself, and most importantly, you'll never be bored. You'll never be bored, give or take 1 or 2. And there I was. He asked me, which department? I said, food and beverage, sir. Again he called me, idiot. The whole hotel business is about food and beverage only. Which department? I said, sir, the rendezvous. Suddenly there was silence in the room. I said, wow. He looked up at me, rendezvous. The most expensive restaurant in Asia. I said, yeah. On the rooftop. I said, yeah. He taught me a new word that day. Another word that Shashi Tharoor doesn't know. It's an important word, remember. The word is want. It's very important that we must want something in life, because otherwise we'll be just going to work and coming back from work without knowing what we want. I wanted to go to the rendezvous, and that's very important. He says, I'm so impressed. Sir, no need for subtitles, right? You're doing fine, right? And it's so important to know that you have a goal. And they say in Screenplay, in a story with a protagonist, there are 22 mini wants before you go to your final big want. Can you imagine? And the greater the want, the greater the obstacles. And he says, that's superb. So you want to start now? I said, right away, sir. He's saying, that's great. I like the spirit. He's saying, go to the basement, idiot. I said, but that's on the rooftop. You think I'm going to send you up directly? Teach your children that they have to pay their dues. You have to pay your dues. He sent me to the basement. They gave me a pichkari in my hand. There's that water gun. Washed plates, folded linen, carried trays, and took me about a year and a half to get to the rendezvous. This is what I'm, yeah. Whoever allotted me the time, you allotted me the time, sir. You said 25 minutes. They are clapping, and 2 people were leaving. It took about 7 minutes of my time away. I'm going to add 7 minutes. The point of the matter is we all must have our mini wants. I'm going to jump forward because we really have to keep this tight today with all the distractions. I'm going to keep this tight today and come to how you may wonder how I apply all what I have learned in my childhood and find so much of excitement in what I do. It started as being a photographer. I needed to do something creative. I went through hell being a photographer because it was an expensive profession, thanks to equipment. Through photography, I met Shamak Davar. You all know Shamak Davar, right? Shamak Davar walks into my studio one day. He looks around. You can make out Shamak Davar is a Parsi because of his nose. All Parsis have a nice long nose, right? You've noticed, right? Yeah. King Charles has a long nose. They have to be Parsis, these royals. Yeah. It can't be anybody else. And he comes and says, he walks into my studio and he says, you're going to be very famous. That's not what I wanted, honestly. I wanted to be happy. He said, but you're going to be very famous. He's doing what? Photography. I don't know. And he disappeared. 8 months later, he comes and says, let's go for lunch. I had a difficult time financially at that point of time. So a free lunch was always welcome. And Shamak Davar takes me to meet Alik Padamsi. Long nose, not a Parsi. Takes me to Alik Padamsi for an audition. And I say, I'm not an actor. He said, don't lie. He says, I can tell that you are an actor. In every single thing that you do, you enjoy the way you speak, they enjoy the way you throw your voice, they enjoy how you make people laugh. You're an actor. I said, okay, you caught me there. He said, don't lie to me, don't lie to yourself. And I auditioned for a part. And I got my first role, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be embarrassed. My first role, don't be embarrassed. In fact, when I tell you what my first role was, you can applaud to take away the embarrassment, to blunt the embarrassment. The first character that I ever played was that of a pimp. I was not expecting, ooh, I was just thinking little. And it was a 3-minute part. It was a 3-minute part. And everybody said, don't do it. Because you need to do a nice big part for your debut. Say, no, Sir Laurence Olivier said, I think, there are no small parts, only small actors. I did the role, and I'm not good with quotations, but the great Bruce Lee, his great quotation was, I do not fear the man who has 1,000 kicks. I fear the man who has 1 kick, but he practices that 1 kick 1,000 times. And yeah, and I just said, these 3 minutes I'm going to practice over and over again till it comes out of my ears. And comes the day of the show. The audience, you walk in there and they're dead. They're there, they've not left. But you're adorable, really. They're there, but they're dead because the show is not going well. It's the opening night and people are nervous. It's not working. And that's something I learned in school, teamsmanship. Saying, I'm not going to let my team down because I just do my 3 minutes and walk. I put my all into that. And suddenly, they woke up. Arshad Varsi was the choreographer. Can you imagine? Arshad Varsi had not even started acting. He's in the wings, and people are clapping over here. And he's saying, come out. I said, no, they're clapping, man. Wait. And something amazing happened that day. My mom was sitting in the audience. You're laughing now. My mom was sitting in the audience, and I realized what she must have gone through when you realize that the child that you thought was supposed to be Bichara Boman, Dafar wala Boman, what hope does this kid have? He's on stage, and she says, you were meant to be here, son, and you finally made it on stage at the age of 35. I just love going on stage. I love facing the camera. I love whatever that happens in cinema and storytelling. And from that, I got play after play. And finally, let's get to the part you may be wondering how I made it into the movies. We did a small... Kitna time baaki hai? Genuinely bolo na. ये दाढ़ी वाला हमेशा घड़ी देखते रहता है. चलेगा ना? How much? 2 hours. 2 hours. Bela, tu kidhar hai? Bela. Stand up, Bela. Stand up, darling. Stand up. Everybody knows Bela. Give her a big hand. She's the one who's got me here. Don't give her a big hand for free, okay? Joking. So, where were we? 2 hours. Payment badhiya. Pay up payment. Okay, this is no joke. If it's going to be 2 more hours, then if you want to go to the washroom and come back, go. Anyway, let's not get distracted. We made a film, a movie, on the Handycam. And the Handycam quality 25 years ago was like 1,000 times worse than even your iPhone. But we wrote that film for a year and a half. Rehearsed, wrote, unwrote, rewrote, and rehearsed it because we had to shoot in 7 days in one location. 2 actors, 1 location, 7 days. And this is way before YouTube came out, right? You've never heard of this film. It's called Let's Talk. Have you heard of it? No, of course not. We made the film, and I went and asked the director, when are we going to release the film? He said, we are never going to release this film. I said, then why the hell did we work for 1.5 years, man? 1.5 years. He said, you know, because we made it for you, for me. My knuckles were getting angry. For our family, for our friends. I'm getting older with each statement that he's making. For our family and friends. And to ease the passing of time. I said, I'm not 80 years old, man. And then he said something very important. And these are all learnings that I try to mask in all this humor. The learning was, he's saying, Boman, our names are on the credits. 30 years from now, if somebody unearths this film and watches it, they'll say, oh yeah, your name's there, good job. You can't do a bad job if nobody's watching too. Yeah? Wow. She got it, one lady, mil gaya. And then what happened when this film was nobody watched the film. This film was being edited in the edit suite. And the next suite was our film, but there was a blockbuster being edited over here by a very big producer-director. And he suddenly got distracted. He went to the other suite, and he's having a look and thinking, yaar, ye gandi picture kaun si hai? He actually said that. Are ye actor kaun hai? Boman Irani. Parthi hai? Haan. Bhejo mere paas. And he gave me a check of 2 lakhs. 2 lakhs. I said, what for? Meri ugly picture ke liye. Bola, aapki ugly picture kaun si hai? Which is your next movie? मेरे पास कहानी ही नहीं है. I said, then why are you giving me money? He said, because the day you decide to act in Hindi movies, and I come to you with my story, you dare not say no. I said, really? Think about it. Think about it. You dare not say no. I said, okay. He says, because if you start working, you'll never stop. He disappeared. And about 7 months later, he called me and said, Yara, kahani mil gayi. Kamal ki kahani mil gayi. I said, kahani ka naam kya hai? He said, Munna Bhai MBBS. There was a film called Munna Bhai MBBS that was a super hit, and it was my debut film, and I made a lot of money after that. But the point they're screaming is, and this is now 20 years old. You're coming back? You got a flight. Why didn't you say you had a flight? Learn how to lie properly. So the point I'm making is, I got that. I said, Munna Bhai MBBS. Okay, I hated the title. Munna Bhai. It just sounds ridiculous. Munna Bhai MBBS. I said, okay, I didn't like the title. I didn't tell him that. I think bakwas title hai. He said, kahani kya? Arey, kahani kamal ki kahani hai. Ek gunda hai. Ek gunda doctor banna chahta hai. A goon wants to be a doctor. Right? I said, okay, sounds like a really stupid story too, right? A goon, a gunda wants to be a doctor. I said, mera role kya hai? Tu doctor hai. Tu doctor hai, aur mera character kya hai lekin? Pura picture mein tu hasega. I said, it's the worst title, the worst story, and the worst character. तेरे को समझ में नहीं आएगा यार तू जाके राजू को मिले. I said, who's this Raju now? So I go and meet Raju Hirani. And he tells me the story with conviction. For 3 hours he tells me the story. He's laughing, he's crying, he's standing, literally standing in that office. That was his stage because he's a storyteller, and he was telling me the story with so much joy. The point is about the joy in what you do, right? That's why we're here. Why am I telling you all this? Right? Not to tell you my first film and how much money I made a signing amount. No, that's not the point of the story, right? And I said, this is a great movie. And we made the movie in record time and record budget. Nobody wanted to back this film. Nobody wanted to distribute this film. So anyone who grumbles about the resource, tell them the story that we did not have money. Nobody took money till the movie was released. Nobody took a check, right? Worse still, the last shot of the film was Shadi Ka Mandap. We didn't have money for it. Fool wool ka banane ka 1.5 lakh ka kuch banta tha us waqt. So he said, now we need the shot. And the art director said, to chodo jane do. No, we need the shot. So he's saying, to fir kisi ke shadi mein gate crash karo. Vinod Chopra said, "Arey yaar, wonderful idea, yaar." And that's exactly what we did. Why am I telling you this, guys? Because, we always say we are held back because we don't have the resource. My father's not a big shot. I don't have this. Yeah, make your bloody resource. Yeah. So here is the mandap. Here is the shadi, and we are sitting behind in the dark. Sunil Dutt Saab, Sanjay Dutt, Arshad, director, cinematographer, assistants, and we waited for all the Baratis to go home. And we went on stage and we shot the last final shot. That's how you complete your dream. That was the dream. He wanted that shot. And my point is, what an amazing story. A gunda wants to be a doctor, but you've got to sell that story. That's the point I wanted to start off with. Want. Teach your children to have wants that are insurmountable. Only then will they be interesting. And even if you fail, people will support your children, support you and your children, even you, right? Think of the film Ratatouille. Have you seen Ratatouille? A rat is not allowed into the kitchen. It puts his little head in, tuck, poisoned, rat trap, whatever, thrown into the bloody gutter, never to return. But this rat doesn't just want to come into the kitchen. He wants to be a world-class chef. His goal is insurmountable. That should be the stories of each and every one of us and all the kids that we mentor. Yeah, I could have told you a lot more, but we got to stick to time, and I've run out of subtitles. Many years later, after I became an actor, I went to New York to the Lexington Hotel. And I do get embarrassed when people welcome me with flowers. I mean, come on, what have I done? I've just gone on stage and done a job. Naukri hai, eventually naukri hai, right? And the general manager was there, and the big bouquet of flowers came along. I took the big bouquet of flowers and gave it to the general manager. He's saying, "What are you doing?" I said, "I can't accept these flowers." He said, "Why?" He said, beg your pardon. I said, "Because Mr. Sam Bada, you gave me my first job at the Taj Mahal Hotel, and you taught me the greatest lesson that there are no shortcuts." The same man who gave me my first job was giving me flowers about 35, 40 years later. These are beautiful stories that complete their full circles, and I felt so proud that day that I could thank a man who mentored me with one simple or two simple lines. One, be yourself, and two, pay your bloody dues. The rest, just encourage everyone, your colleagues, children, be happy in whatever you do. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you so much.
What can
Thank you
I
very
say? Thank you, immense gratitude for sharing your personal journey and for reminding us that we perhaps learn best when we are laughing.
Say again.
Reminding us that we learn best when we are laughing. Especially when someone else is at the butt of the joke. Ritika Singh, Executive Director, Conferences and Forums, right here to felicitate none other than Boman Irani,